Hey, everybody, welcome to the Go to War podcast. This is your host, John Paramore, doing a couple of solo podcasts with you guys for the next couple until we get to the turn of the month, and then likely get Adam back on and maybe some guests going forward. All right, let me run through the homework with you guys. This is not a paid podcast. You guys know that. This is not something I get paid to do. This is something that we do to give back, essentially, with business experience and the life experience that we've actually been through. What we ask of you guys is that you leave comments in the comment section in the podcast, and that you guys give us reviews on the podcast, and that you guys share this out, right? That's all we ask. We are sitting at right now, as of today's podcast, 99 reviews. Somebody jump over there for the love of God and write a positive review. Don't be an asshole. Write a positive review on the podcast. Let's push this boy over 100. Number two, on this podcast, I use salty language. If you are looking for a PG or a PG-13 podcast, this is not it. This podcast is very much so rated R. Okay? So now all that being said, you guys can see the name of the podcast. You guys can see the name of the podcast. And the podcast that I want to walk through with you guys today is Turd Polish. Okay? And I'm going to go through what that means, right? And I'm going to explain to you why I want to go through this with you, because this is a very relevant topic with the way things are right now. A lot of people out there are having issues hiring great people. They're having issues bringing great people inside their organization and finding great people to hang out with them and do business with them and work hard with them and put in the effort and all of that good stuff. So by default, what they're trying to do is they still have a hole to fill inside of their company, and there are a lot of people that I'm connected with that are taking, in their opinion, the best fit for what they have access to, and they're using it to fill the hole or fill the role inside of their organization. Now, I will tell you, I don't care if it's a client, friend, acquaintance, whatever. I'm hearing a lot of stories where there are people saying, I'm having a hard time finding good people to work, and the people inside my organization don't want to put in the same amount of work as I want to put in, or we're running into a work ethic type of thing where I'm just not seeing the same work ethic put forward anymore, okay? Now, there's an old saying that goes like this. If you hang around with shit, you're going to get shit on you at some point in time, okay? And you cannot polish a turd, okay? A turd is a turd regardless of how you rub it or polish it or caress it or emotionally console it. I don't give a shit what it is. Shit is shit. And if you hang around with shit, you're going to get shit on you, okay? That's as simple as I can make it. That's as simple as I can make it, right? So what you likely already know where I'm going with this. You cannot take someone that doesn't have the work ethic that you're after and put them inside your organization with the expectation that possibly someday they will develop that work ethic. It does not happen. It will not happen. Okay? And the longer that you leave them inside of your organization, the longer it's going to take for you to find the right people. And let me give you an example, okay? There was a client in the past that had several people in their organization that were exactly what I'm talking about. They had little to no work ethic. They were entitled as fuck. They were given leads all the time. And when it came to them having to actually go produce or run their own leads, because of what happened prior and because of the type of person that they were, they wouldn't go do the work. They actually refused to go out and knock a door or talk to referrals or call old past clients or whatever the case may be. Like, you could literally sit down and make a list to them of how they could win in other ways, but because they were so spoiled on the front side and basically hired incorrectly on the front side, there was no way that they were going to do it. Now, here's what I'm talking about when I've said what I said before. If you hang around with shit, you're going to get shit on you. They were bringing in other people, other salespeople that were willing to do the work, that were willing to go out and knock doors and do different things. And it wouldn't take very long before one of the shitheads would have a conversation with somebody who was willing and say, bro, if you like put your feet in the sand and you tell them that you're not willing to go pound doors, or you're not willing to go cultivate leads, or you're not willing to go have additional conversations, they will eventually cave and just spend more money or find a way to hand leads to you, to get you leads too. Bro, you're working too hard. They're willing to actually pay you to run their leads. You're working too hard. So literally every single person that they would bring into the organization, hoping that, okay, this guy's got the willingness. He's willing to go do what we want, cultivate some leads, that, you know, that kind of work. That person would get poisoned or get shit slung on them by somebody else who was unwilling or who had adopted a specific mindset that no longer aligned with the organization as a whole. Now, this might sound familiar. There might be several of you out there thinking, damn it, I know I want something different in my organization. I know I want someone different in my organization, but I believe that if I switch the culture and I flip the culture, that someone will become something different. Listen, I'm going to tell you, as from my own experience and from the hundreds of clients that I've worked with in this exact same fucking scenario. If you have shit in the organization that doesn't line up and doesn't match up, you cannot polish the turd. You have to take the shit out. You have to take it out. It's the only way that the culture changes. It's the only way, because if you leave it in, what happens is it poisons everyone else. It will infect everyone else. It will literally change the culture to the weakest link. You guys have heard this in so many, I don't care the analogy that someone's used with you before, but you're only as strong as the weakest person in your organization. So if you look at the weakest person and relatively compared, they're a top producer in everybody else's organization, but they're just not in yours, then your organization is pretty damn strong. But if you look at your weakest person and you're like, fuck, man, I don't know anybody that would hire this person other than me. Or, damn, this person still needs a lot of work. You're asking yourself, like, here's the test. Okay. Here's the test. I don't know how many of you guys still have to sign paychecks. Okay. Or if you just have it on like a draft type of thing or whatever. But when you see that person is about to get paid this next week, do you feel good about it? Are you like excited to write this check? You're like, this motherfucker works hard. This dude earned every fucking dollar I'm about to pay him. Or are you kind of like cringing as you write this check or as you submit this payment to happen? And you're like, man, fuck this guy. Half the time I walk past his office, I look to the right, and half the shit that he's doing is scrolling his phone. Like, I'm not even sure what the fuck he's doing all day. Right now, you could easily blame that person and make it their fault. But the reality is, this is on you. This is on you. And we've talked about this I've talked about this in other podcasts where I've told you the difference between tolerance and standard. The standard in the organization right now is tolerance. And it's likely, if you've left it there for a while, the standard in your organization is tolerance. And guess what? This is going to probably fucking hurt, but you're likely going to have to remove or replace a lot of people. Because if I can tell you, like I said, if the weakest person on your team is getting away with a shit level low standard, that I can promise you there's other people looking in the organization going, why the fuck do they get away with that and still get paid, but I don't? Why do I actually have to work my ass into the grindstone, but they can barely work, fuck around half the day, talk shit maybe about 2 or 3, 4 people in this company, but I still have to grind. Listen, it is an infectious thing. It is a toxic thing. And the longer that you allow it to occur, the worse it's going to get. The worse it's going to get. Okay. And listen, I was having another fun story. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and we were talking about, at some point in time, the dynamic shifted where a lot of people went from hiring people who had knowledge and expertise at their specific position, and they started hiring people who needed to be trained how to do the fucking job that they were being hired to do. So I want you to understand this mindset, if you will, for just a second, right? You have somebody that comes in to you that applies to your organization and wants X dollars an hour or X salary a year and says that they know how to do a specific job. You plug them into, you say, okay, I'm going to assume that you do. It's on your resume. You say you can do it. I've checked into a couple of people. They say you can do it. And you put them in your company and quickly find out that what they need is additional training to do that job. Now, when I was younger, here's a fucking grandpa story. When I was younger, I would actually go work for someone for little to no money to learn a specific skill so that I could acquire the skill and then command a wage. This shit is fucking backwards. When someone says that they can do a specific skill, yet you bring them into your organization and find that they can't fucking do the skill, but they demand to be paid while on the clock, and they're exchanging time that is not results driven, but it's basically fruitless fucking time. And they want to be trained on how to do the job. You guys got to listen to me. A lot of people in this day and age right now, where we are right now, are saying that it's hard to find talented people. And what I want you to consider is, no, it's fucking not. It's hard to find talented people that are willing to put up with shit. That's what's hard to find. It's hard to find talented people that are willing to bust their ass for you and grind it out, while at the same time, you know what they don't want is to be surrounded by a bunch of weak motherfuckers. So if you're trying to find highly talented people and very strong people that can do exactly what you want them to do, hire them. They're fucking badasses. What I can tell you is, the longer you have the weak motherfuckers in your company, the longer it's going to take you to find the people who are lights out savages. Because the weak motherfuckers, the second that somebody who comes into your company and has that tenacity of grit and fight and all that shit, the weak people will shit talk them or zero them out and try to push them out or vote them out of the island. And if, listen, I'm going to tell you, if at the skill level of some of these people have, the high producers, they're going to come in and see that the rest of the team is full of weak people, and they're not going to want to stay very long. They're going to work themselves out. They're going to see and sense and feel the weakness in the organization, and they're going to be like, I'm not having any of this fucking shit. There's a bunch of people stealing, which is a real fucking term. They're sitting around. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not bound to a result. They're not eliciting a specific result. They're just literally getting paid to fuck around. And I don't want to be a part of that. So here's what I'm going to tell you, right? Because obviously you don't want to cut your nose off to spite your face. You don't want to just go, okay, well, yeah, John, that's me. I got a shitload of these people. What am I supposed to do, right? I always give you guys tactical shit to do when I bring these things up. So you're like, what am I supposed to do? Number one, you one at a time replace. It's one at a time replace. So start with the weakest person, replace them. Start with the next weakest person, replace them. Start with the next weakest person, replace them, and keep going. Now, here's the other thing that I would highly suggest. Hire in twos. Hire in twos. Because if there's one person on the team and they decide that they're going to start coasting for a little bit, and the other person on the team starts to pick up the slack, and the attaboys and the money and the rewards start to flow more to that person, it's going to create and cause the other people to either level up or get the fuck out. And that's what you want. Okay? So I will tell you right now, and this is probably going to sting a little bit and probably hurt a little bit too. If you're highly leveraged or overly dependent on one person in your organization to the point that you feel like they could hold you hostage at any point in time, you need to get that fucking person out of your company immediately, or immediately bring in somebody that's at their level or greatly above right away. Because you cannot operate in an organization as an owner, as a creator, as someone whose job it is to move the company forward if you feel like you're being held hostage. That's a shit place to work. And honestly, most of the time, people that feel that way feel like what they own is a job, not a business. So those things got to be corrected quickly, right? Okay, so let's recap, right? This is one of those quick hit podcasts. I'm not going to fuck around with you guys today because I want to give you something that's applicable, okay? You cannot keep trying to polish a turd. If you got somebody in the company, you've invested in them, You've helped get them on up to speed on what they need to be doing. You've mentored them, all that good stuff. Get them the fuck out if they're not willing to play the game. You are not a psychologist. You're not a fucking psychiatrist. You're not a fucking counselor. You're a business owner whose responsibility is to provide an opportunity, get them trained or get them to the point where they need to be, and then mentor them. And that's it. That's it. Oversee them. Give them a high five, ass slap when they need it, but don't fucking play pansy with them. If they can't do the job, get them out. Replace them, whatever the case may be, right? Hire people that are specifically trained at what you want them to do. At what you want them to do. Don't hire people that have a general overview of what they're supposed to be doing and tell you that they know how to do it, but then you bring them into the company and they don't know fuck all about what they're supposed to do. Those are not your people. Those are not your people. And some of you guys are probably going to write and say, yeah, but I can't afford to hire the guy that's actually trained. I will tell you, go hire him anyway. Go hire the guy that you can't afford, because that's going to force you to fucking level up, and they're going to come in and they're going to probably outperform more than what you think, and they're probably going to earn what you think they're worth or what you think you can afford. They're going to earn that and then some. Okay, that's a mistake I made early on. Maybe I'll bring somebody in and hire them a little bit less expensive, whatever. But we all know you get what you pay for. That's just the way it works. Okay. So you guys know the drill. Take an inventory of your own shit. Look at the places where you're showing up week 2. How can you be better? How can you be a better leader? How can you be stronger for your team? And then start paying attention to the people that you have around you and make sure that they're the best of the best people that you would want to work with on a regular basis. I've asked this of many people before. If there's anybody on your team that you would not go hang out with for a month on a fucking remote island, get them the fuck off your team. Because you spend a lot of time and energy and effort and money and resources for your company to thrive and succeed. You don't want to be spending that time, energy, money on people who don't give a fuck. That's the key, okay? So you guys know the drill. This is a big time for you guys to really look at who's on my team. Am I surrounded by winners or a bunch of graceful losers? That's really what it comes down to. Okay. And when you guys are ready to do different and take what I put in this podcast today, the number one thing you guys have to do is get your fucking mind right and go to war.